What's going on, y'all? It's Spider from A Pack of Savages, and today we're bringing y'all our first tech review. Today we are featuring a member named Freddie. He is a 10-year iPhone user that recently made the change to go to Galaxy. So today we're gonna see what he thinks about his Galaxy versus the iPhone and see why he changed and things like that. So, what made you make the initial change?
Well, Apple wasn't doing crap. Basically, Apple, they're using the same stuff over and over again, and there's nothing new. So it's time to try something new after 10 years of bland.
So, what was it that you were looking for Apple to do that they weren't doing?
Basically, instead of doing like, well, it's a bigger screen as well, but besides, it's the same. Every update is the same. There's a little bit different, but nothing really.
Nothing really different about it?
No, it's like nothing completely different. Like from the first OS to let's say 4 or 5, there was a complete change. Nothing has been since then.
Okay. So, what features were you looking for that made you make the switch from the iPhone 10 to the Galaxy S10 Plus?
No real features. It's either iOS or Android. So it's either one of the two. And then just going from iOS, it's like, okay, if I get another iOS, it's like, okay, it's the same stuff. So something new in general.
Okay. So, what features are you enjoying about your Galaxy S10 Plus now that has you satisfied with making the switch from the iPhone 10?
That's still yet to be determined. But a lot of the features are better as far as the unlocking, because you can not only have just fingerprint, because on the latest iPhones, there's no fingerprint whatsoever, as well as facial recognition. So you get both instead of just one.
Okay. So, how do you feel about the fingerprint reader coming from previous iPhones that had it to having the in-screen fingerprint reader on the Galaxy?
It's actually a lot more difficult to actually input your fingerprint, because on the iPhone it's just like, okay, one try, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the Galaxy, it's like so many different things going on with it. It's not on that one.
Okay. So, is it the consistency of how it reads?
I think that it's actually getting your fingerprint instead of.
So it's the location being different to you that you're having to adjust to.
No, it's not the adjustment to actually unlocking it. It's to actually inputting it when you first do your fingerprint.
Okay.
Because when reading it, the iPhone only does it for like a couple seconds every now and then, as whereas the Android is a whole do it like 30 times and then it finally gets it, because that's actually probably getting your fingerprint versus, okay, we just scanned it, we're done.
Okay. Okay. So, what do you think about the cameras?
I haven't really tested them in different lighting, but as far as what I have done, that the Galaxy's better.
In what ways?
As far as slow motion goes, because I did a test last night with slow motion, and it was much better on the Galaxy than it was on the iPhone.
Okay. And what do you think about the color reproduction and sharpness?
Considering it's the 10 Plus, it is a lot better than what I have had. So there's not much at the same quality that I can compare it to.
Okay. And have you tested the wide angle?
No, not yet.
You haven't tested that?
No.
Okay. And what do you think about the responsiveness and the overall feeling of the way the phone operates?
The feeling of the phone is a little bit of adjustment because it is bigger, slightly, not much, but it's like, okay. That's the only thing about the iPhone that I wish Android had, which was the assistive reach. But it doesn't, so it's like, yeah, that's a little bit of an issue. But as far as like the size of it itself, Android is bigger, and the actual getting to the apps is fairly easy compared to Apple, where you actually have to close the whole app or just go to the quick screen and get to it. Versus Apple, Android, you just kind of hit one button and all your apps are there, and then it's like the most recent one, like if you're just switching between the two.
So you prefer the app drawer?
Yeah, kind of. Because with Apple, you can just slide over. But you got to hit it exactly right. With Android, you don't have to do that. You just hit the button.
Right. So what about the ability to not have all your apps on your home screen and being able to make your home screen the way you want to?
You can do that with the Apple, but it's not as customizable as it is with Android. Let me put it that way. Because on the Apple, all your apps are there. You can move them wherever you want to. But with the Android, you can actually have different things as far as like you have your weather, your news, all that on your homepage versus just apps. Just apps themselves. So with Android, it is more customizable, and you have what you want to see on your homepage versus what you just have.
Mm-hmm.
And Apple is just like, okay, we'll just have what you have for apps instead of a news feed and all that. Because for the news feed, you have to go to a completely different page.
Okay.
And not just your home unlocked page.
Right. Okay. And have you tried out Bixby yet?
I hate Bixby just because I hated Siri, so they go hand in hand. It's like an assistant, and I.
So you don't like virtual assistants?
Not too much, no.
Okay. If you had to take a choice between the two, which one would you go with?
I'd have to try Bixby a little bit to see if I would like it or not.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
I can't say if I had the choice.
Okay. And what about the overall interface?
Interface, it'd take me a little bit to actually get used to the Android and actually see if I like it better. But at this time, after about a day or so, I do like the Android, and it's actually fairly simple. They say that Apple is for simpleness, but Android is just as simple. So it's pretty much seeing which one I like better.
Okay. And, I mean, as of so far, which one do you like better?
As of so far, I miss the Apple a little bit, but I'm liking the Android.
Okay. So it's kind of that medium of you're not used to this, but you want to learn this.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much.
Okay.
It's something I don't know and I need to know.
Okay. And what about the moving process? What frustrated you? What made things feel more simple?
It is actually fairly simple to move all your contacts and everything over to the Android. That's fairly simple, which is awesome. But the only thing I don't like is I can't move all my apps on my pad saved on the Apple to the Android. That's a little bit difficult. Because I have to re-download the apps, re-put in the passwords, and it's like, I already had all this stuff on the Apple. And if I just got into the Apple, it would be wing, bang, boom, and I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like a 5-minute process. But with this, it's been fairly long.
Okay. So we're going to close this out here soon. What do you think is the biggest advantage, and what do you think is the biggest disadvantage of switching from iPhone to Android?
The biggest advantage would be at this point, it's just a better quality of equipment, because Apple's using the same stuff over and over and over again. Disadvantage, if you're going to make the switch, be sure to have everything like passwords and apps available to transfer, as far as you have to put them in again. That's the biggest disadvantage.
Okay. So, a few last questions. Audio quality. Coming from YouTube and playing music and things like that through the phone speakers themselves versus, iPhone versus Android.
Audio quality, Android does appear to be better. Apple, it does get loud because I had the 10, so it does get loud, but it doesn't sound as good of a quality, I can say, to the Galaxy. Apple is good, but it's like, okay, this is good compared to the other Apple devices. Now, Android is just like, it's good compared to other non-Galaxy devices. So that's the difference there. And then Galaxy just I did like the sound, like the first time I heard it, I'm like, oh crap, that's really good. So it's like, That's a lot better.
Okay. And what about screen quality?
Screen quality, the screen does appear to be better. It takes a little bit of getting used to because it looks like there's something always shining on it, but there's not. It's like, okay, but it still looks good in and of itself. It's like, it looks better. And even though the 10 had the HD screen, it just wasn't, it was good. There's no lie about it. It was good, but it just wasn't all that great. It's not like I was watching TV, basically. And the Galaxy makes it look like I'm actually watching my 4K TV.
Okay. So the 4K HDR10 Plus
Yeah.
is an advantage to you.
Yeah.
Okay. And one last thing before we go. Anybody that would be considering making the change from iPhone to Android, what are your recommendations?
Remember, just research the phone that you actually want. Research all the Android phones. If you still want an Apple, just make sure that it has what you want it to have. If you have Apple now and it's the same stuff on the next phone, go ahead and see what Android's offering, and then if it has more and what you actually want, get the Android.
All right. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, that is our 10-year switch over from iPhone to Android. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and share to as many people as you possibly can. Stay savage, little homies.